Hello, welcome to this video. In the last video, what we did was that we made the options to change its appearance based on just changing one class name. So in this video, we are going to be hard coding our questions just to prepare us for when we get the questions from the API. So what we are going to do is that we're going to set up a logic that decides when the answer is correct or not, depending on where the user clicks. So let's get started. So I'm using the V3 composition API. So let's just set that up, script, and here I just put the setup method. Now the setup method usually runs before any other thing, before you're created, before you're mounted. So in here, I'm just going to define some of the data I'm going to use. So I'll just say const current question. Now this is going to be an object and it's going to have the question itself, and let's see, I'm going to choose what the answer is going to be and then choices. Now these choices are the options that we're going to be having, and then the answer here just specifies which of the options is going to be the answer. So this is just going to be an array. Let me just leave that as it is. Now because I'll be using this in my template, so I need to make this data reactive. By default, this is not reactive, unlike the options API where you have, whenever you specify something in the data object, it's automatically reactive. So I'm going to make this reactive because I want to use it in the template, and I'm going to do that by making it a ref. So the way you do that, it's I'm just going to cut this and say ref, and automatically it gets imported from Vue. Ref gets imported from Vue, so do make sure that your ref is imported. If not, you can just type it out like so, and then in brackets I'll just paste back the object there. So this becomes a ref. Now it doesn't really matter if it's a const, because a const means typically you cannot change the value, but then since it's a ref, we can actually change the value of the ref, but what remains constant is the ref object itself. So let's just have that there, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get in my dummy questions. Just call it questions, and I already have some questions here. I'll just copy it, just some dummy questions, just 3. So this array has the group of objects. So we have this first one here with a question, with an answer and the choices, modeled after the current question I have here. Same with the second one, same with the third one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one at a time, put that in the UI. The user says make a choice, we pick the next one, and then we'll pick the next one. Okay, so let's just save this. Now typically what you want to do, or what we want to do, is that when you assign, I'm getting an error, when you assign something to a ref, you need to export it so it's usable. So just come underneath everything here just before my setup closes. Let's see. Okay, and I'll just return current question because we want to use that. Okay, so I'll also return questions. Yes. Okay, so what I want is that when the questions are loaded from the API, but in this case we just had coded questions, I will set the first question to the current question. So let's do that. And what I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to data. I'll say let question counter equal to 0. Now because I know I'm going to use this for this bottom here, yeah, might. So let me just make it a ref. I might get to use it in the template. Okay, so question counter, I also need to return that. So I'll just quickly go here and type that out. So what I will do is I'm going to create, I can minimize this, I'm going to create a function. What this function is to just pick the first or pick one of the questions and set it to current question. So I'll say const, let me say on quiz start. It just could be anything. And this is going to be a function. I'll just make it an arrow function. And I'll say, let's say current question. Let's say the value. Now the value means we want to change the value of the ref, which is this object inside here. So that will be equal to questions with S. I know it's an array, so I'm going to pick the first one. So I'll just say question counter the value. Now the value of the question counter is the stuff inside this ref, which is 0. So it's going to pick the first one. So we want to run this on quiz start. So I'll also export it, or rather return it. And what I'm going to do is, let me just take this down, put a comment and say return, and then here I'll just put a comment of my live and put my live circle hooks here. So what we want is that when the game starts, we take one of the questions and we set that to the current question. So what we want is that when the game starts, we take one of the questions and we'll put that in the current questions, and I'll do that for whenever the quiz app is mounted. Under my live circle hooks, still inside my setup, I'm going to say unmounted. Now the difference here is that in the options API you just say mounted, but in this composition API I use unmounted, and that's going to be a function. So I'll pass the onQuiz start in here. So when this is mounted, onQuiz start is run. So to make changes to the template, just go to the template itself. Where do we have our question? Okay, so we have a question here. So here will be current question dot question. Now I didn't have to use dot value because when you're accessing your ref data in the template, you don't need to use dot value, only when you're working in the setup. Okay, so I have this here. Then my options, what I'm going to do for my options is I'm going to loop through them because it's an array of choices. So all I need is just one of the options, so I'll get rid of the other ones carefully so that I don't let's see, option container. Let's see. Okay, so I can get rid of this one, I can get rid of this one, I can get rid of this one, and let me just save and see. So let's look through the options. So just come in here and we're going to use the for loop of views. So we just have one option. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just wrap all of this in just a plain div wrapper. Just a div, just to make things to look easier. And that div, I'm going to add a for loop. So I'll say for, and what I'm going to do is in here I'll pass choice and let's say the key and current question dot, remember it's choices dot choices, and I need to bind that to a key. So I'll just bind that, and the key in this case is key. Now I could decide to change this, just call it item, and I'll bind the key to item just so that it's not confusing. So these are the same thing. So I'm looping through this choice. Okay, I'm looping through these choices, and I'm passing the single one as a variable per se called choice. So let's see. In here I have the choice, right? And look at the question. Okay, yes, I have the choice itself. So I'll just say choice Let's save that. So you can see all of our choices are there. For now, what I'll do for this is let me just pass the key here. So it's going to say, not key now. I've forgotten I've changed that to item. So it's going to say 0, 1, 2, 3. That's fine. We're going to change it to alphabet later. Okay, so yeah, so what we're going to do now, it's we want to be able to know when we click on any of this one. So when we click on Java, I want to know if we clicked on Java and any other options. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function to handle the click. So I can let me just push this down a bit, and I'll just call this method functions, and this method I'll say on option clicked. Let's make it a const. This is going to be an arrow function, and I can just say console log. You know what, I'm going to pass in the choice, and here I'm going to say console log choice. Now I'm going to export, I'm going to return this, don't forget to do that. And then to the options, where is it? Okay, I can add the on click here. Say add click is going to be on option clicked, and I'm going to pass the choice that was made. Okay, so we save that, and then I need to open up my console. Let's try and move that a bit. So you can see I clicked on Java, it says Java, I clicked on Python. That's good. Now remember that the answer, how we know the answer is by like an integer or a number, which is 1 or whatever the case might be, depending on the answer. This first question, actually the answer is Java, which is number 1. So what we're going to do is I'm also going to pass the key. Let's go back here. I'm also going to pass both the choice and the key into this place. Sorry, it's not key. I need the item. I keep confusing that. So I can decide to call it item here if I want. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm also going to just console log that. So let's see, when I click on that, you can see Java and 0, Python and 1. Okay, but what you notice is that because of arrays, you use like a 0 indexes are from 0 and then count forward. So what I'm going to do, because the answer is it's not going to be 0, it's going to be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 starting from 1. So all I need to do is just increment this item here. So I can say const, let's just call it option ID equal to item. Let's just say plus, I'll just say +1. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to check what the current question's answer is, and we're going to do that here when the user clicks. So I can just say if current question, I have to put .value first and say answer is equal to the option ID. That means that the answer is correct. So I can say console log, I say you are correct. And if that's not the case, you can have an else. And I'll say console log, you are wrong. So let's save that and then let's give it a whirl. So we'll click on Python, it says you're wrong. You're wrong. When I click on Java, it says you're correct. So with that in mind, what we're going to do is that we're going to make Java to appear, or whatever the option is, to appear as the correct option or as the wrong option when chosen. I remember in the last video, what we did was that we used a class name. So what we're going to do is that we want to get a reference to that particular element and then tweak the class. And how we're going to do that is that we're going to use ref. Now this is a different kind of ref. The kind of ref you use to get the HTML element. So it's a little bit different in Vue 3. In Vue 2, when you use a ref inside the for loop, it automatically generates an array. But for Vue 3, it's not the case. You have to kind of like define that you want to make it into an array. Else, when your refs, the refs keep overwriting each other. Okay, I'm just going to do it the wrong way just to show you what it looks like, and then I'll do it the right way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come here. Let's just add a ref here. And let me call it, let me say option chosen. So we have a ref of option chosen. And I want to make reference to that ref. So I'll go to my data, let's go here and I'll say const option chosen. Let's make it a ref. I'll just put null in here. Okay, I'm also going to return that. So what I'm going to do here is when the user clicks on the option clicked, and then let me just console log, console, just type it in full, console log the option chosen. Let's save and see what we have. Just refresh this. Okay, so when I click on this, now what we get a ref, alright, but this ref is being overwritten because when we click on it, it's going to get the first ref, which is Java, and then to proceed to get the second one, which is Python. So Python is going to overwrite Java, unlike before, unlike in Vue 2, where it gives like an array of all of them. So let's see if I were to check the value, which is this. Okay, so as you can see, is the last one and not Java that I clicked on. Okay, so for us to kind of like implement our own array, here's how we're going to do it. So we are going to change this option here into a function. So just going to cut that off from here. I'm going to bring it down where I have my methods and say const option chosen. It's going to be equal to an arrow function. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it into an array. So let me just create an empty array before that. Let's say items ref equal to an empty array. And here I'm just going to pass in the elements, and I'll check if we got some elements in there. And if we do, I'll just say items ref dot push elements. So we're going to keep adding an element, HTML element, if we have something in the ref. So automatically we've created our own array. So where I have options chosen, okay, I can save that. We get an error. Why is that? Okay, so my mistake, I didn't write that correctly. Okay, I believe you guys must have seen that since while I was typing. Okay, and then the one last thing I need to do is I'm actually going to bind the ref to this, unlike the way we did it before. So I'll just put that there so that I'm binding this ref to option chosen. Okay, so instead of just logging the options chosen, we need to log in the array itself, which is items ref. And since item ref is an array, I can just make reference to a key. I can make reference to the particular option itself by using the key, which is item. So I can save that, and then when I click, it gets me that particular one. So if I click on C, you can see this one gets me that for C. Since we can already get the reference to the HTML element whenever we click on an option, so what we just need to do is, if the option that was chosen by this is correct, we're going to change the class of that HTML element. So let us go ahead and do that. I come to my console. Sorry, I come to this console.log. I don't need that anymore, so I can just get rid of it. Let's say const, let's call it div container for now, equal to the items ref, the particular items ref that was chosen. And if our answer is correct, we are going to use class list to add the correct class. So I can say div container dot class list dot add, and what we're adding is option correct, and we want to also remove the default class. So I can just do the same thing, but this time I'll say remove, and I'll say option default. So let's save that and see if that works. So when I click on Java, you can see it turns to the correct option. Any other one is not going to work because we've not done that. So I'm going to copy all of this here, and I'll go to where you have wrong, just paste that there. And what we want to do is actually add the wrong class and remove the default one. So if I save, let's just choose the wrong answer. So you can see it shows that it's the wrong answer. So eventually what we want to do is that when we click, we cannot click anymore, and then it goes to the next question. So in the next video, we're going to be looking at how to do that. So if you found this video helpful in any way, do leave a thumbs up, do subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.